Howdy folks, Chaos here, and today we're going to talk about the news that just came out about Dying Light 2 as we know it. In an article by Kirk McKeon, it's shit. That's the kind of feedback developers at Techland get from their leaders. The inner circle around the CEO. Interviews with 10 current and former Techland staff, all of whom represented anonymity so as not to risk their careers, depict a studio marred by autocratic management, poor planning, and a toxic work culture that trickles down from the head honcho, basically. The fish rots from the head. That is insanely damning as a quote. And it's really bad when your employees are completely anonymous for fear of losing their job. Now, as the article goes on, it talks about due to sexual harassment accusations. It is a completely different version than what we have thought it was going to be from what we saw, the writing and everything. Because of the amount of turnover the company has itself, has really upset the balance of the game to the point to where they have to go out of their way to try to piece together a puzzle. And even if they piece it together, the CEO's not going to approve it. The article goes on to say it's basically a Frankenstein's monster stitched together by various parts, each of the 5 writing teams up to this point leaving behind a limb. On top of that, some former writers haven't even announced their involvement to the game due to strict NDAs. I get the NDAs. However, not being able to say that I'm working on a game itself, that's pretty rough. Now, the game itself being pieced together like this, is it going to be what we're seeing right there? I don't know. It says here, horrible management decisions and lack of coherent vision are what make people just slowly spiral into an apathetic state. That's a horrible place to work. I couldn't imagine working for a company that has a boss with his wife, who is apparently the HR director, going and controlling every single creative decision and aspect. And as it goes on, apparently from someone who worked on Dying Light 2 for multiple years, they say they have no idea what the final game is going to be or the story because of the turnover. That's insane. The turnover for a company that has worked on a game for so long, to have the story have no idea where it's going to be at, the game have no final decision on where it's at this close to release, as it states here, as well as the constant iteration, lack of direction, and absence of trust for the experts at the studio. The team are fed up unrealistic deadlines in a misguided attempt at motivating people. Everyone must be effective at all times. Otherwise, in the mind of the CEO, they are taking money from the company for nothing. Dying Light 2 was originally planned for release in 2019, a date given by the CEO. Much like with Cyberpunk 2077, this was an unrealistic deadline dictated by the CEO. Of course, he's also a big fanatic of Cyberpunk and the company that created it, CD Projekt Red, and wants to basically use their game as a base form for their game, or so the article states. I'll link the article below so that you can read it yourself. It is a great article, great read, and you'll actually learn a lot from it. And I highly suggest you give it a read and share it to folks, man, because it's insane. It's some insane, crazy news. And honestly, I personally it puts a bad taste in my mouth because I was such a big fan of Dying Light 1. Now, as it goes on, the result of all this is a team of hardworking, talented people who are being slowly drained of any enthusiasm. Apparently, the amount of passionate people and talent in Techland is overwhelming, a source says. And in a sentiment reflected by everyone that the article writer speaks to or spoke to, he's talking mostly about regular staff here, since leads seem to be really burned out and tired. Sometimes it feels like they don't even care anymore. They will do whatever the CEO tells them to do in order to keep their job safe. That's horrible. I wouldn't want to be a yes man, honestly. And that's what it feels like a lot of these people are having to do. They're in fear of losing their job. They're in fear of losing the only income they have. And for a lot of these people, all they know is working on games. And unfortunately, it sounds like the CEO of the company has taken the joy right out of them making the game. So is that going to reflect in the final product? Probably. It's probably not going to be what we expect. And I hate that because like I said, I enjoyed and loved Dying Light 1 so much. I played it from front to back, literally spent 1,000 hours in the game. I wish I could have spent more, but there was literally nothing else I could do in that game. But side note, it's really horrible for the people in the company, and I honestly think that this article needs some light shined on it, and the people need some relief. With all that being said, if you like the video, like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below and tell me what you think. I really want to know. Do you think that Dying Light's going to be everything we hoped it would be? Or do you think it's fallen too far? Let me know down below.